Namaste.
So once again, thank you all for joining, and without any further delay, let's get into our session. So very good afternoon to one and all present here. So welcome to yet another session organized by Spirit Academy. We are here today, as you all know, to explore more about how the disaster communication can be enhanced by the cutting edge drone technology. So, in this era of rapid technological advancement and disaster response evolution, it's only right we do more studies like brainstorming discussions like these, panel discussions, etc., to understand how can we leverage these technologies like drones more for our benefits on various aspects of stages of disaster like preparedness, be it mitigation, recovery, response. So how can we leverage these technologies to our benefits? To understand the pivotal role of drones in disaster communication, Sphere India, collaborating with Drones for Humanity, is inviting all of you for this webinar, and we hope that you engage, learn, and let's all together envision for more safer and resilient future. So once again, thank you all for joining. We have like wonderful lineup of experts here with us, where we can hear and learn and engage in a wonderful discussion with them. So I'll quickly introduce the speakers to you, and we'll move on and to hear from them. So starting with N.M. Prushti sir, he's a distinguished professional with over 4 decades of experience. Throughout his illustrious career, he has held diverse roles across various sectors in India and Africa, encompassing government, private and public businesses, national and international NGOs, and bilateral donor agencies. Sir has been a driving force behind several national level development agencies with a notable contribution to the establishment of social enterprises like Dhara and Safal. He played a pivotal role in the evolution of institutions such as FES, IRMA, EDII, Peer India, CFNS, and IAG, fostering harmonized humanitarian actions. He is highly regarded in the humanitarian sector globally for its innovative contributions, including FICCI Care Partnership, Gujarat Harmony Project, GHP, Sphere Standards, and localization efforts. We are very privileged to have you with us, sir, and especially for you in facilitating this session. Thank you so much and welcome, sir. Moving on, we have Dr. Debashis Ghosh, who is a professor at Indian Institute of Science, IISc. He received his PhD from IISc in 1990. His area of interest is guidance and control of autonomous systems. In particular, he has worked on using unmanned aerial vehicles for flood disaster management and on developing resource allocation strategies in disaster situations. He is an associate fellow of AIAA and fellow of Indian National Academy of Engineering and National Academy of Sciences, India. We welcome you also to the session, sir. Moving on, introducing our third speaker, we have Mr. Bodhisattva Sangapriya, who is a founder and CEO of IG Drones. He is a TEDx speaker for innovation works in diversified domains, right from rural technology to rocket science to bring disruptions through technology. Diversity in his domains of innovation has won him the acclaim of serial innovator. A 2 times Chief Minister awardee of IG Drones, Youth Star awarded by Russian Federation for his contribution to space science, the founder of ISRO VSSUT Student Satellite Team, National Innovation Challenge Grant winner, Secretary of Government of Odisha Innovation Cell established in VSSUT, that testimony to him and his repute. He is a founder of ISRO VSLV VSSUT Student Satellite Team, which is India's first and only multi-purpose student rocketry team. Project is recently got undertaken completely by ISRO. Under the vivid leadership of him, the team has won many prestigious international and national awards from NASA, ISRO, Limca Book of Records, BRICS, etc. IG Drones, since its inception, has marked the footprints in 25 plus states and have executed 250 projects and has retained 75% of existing client base with AI-driven drone data analytics services. We welcome you also to the session, sir. We're waiting to hear more from the practical experience that you have. Moving on, our fourth speaker, we have Mr. Narendra Singh Kachotia, sir, here. He's a skilled professional who believes in leveraging technology to improve the efficiency and quality of humanitarian aid and coordination. He has 14 years of experience in designing and managing humanitarian programs across the country for national and human-induced hazards such as cyclones, floods, droughts, landslides, earthquake, heavy rain, pest attacks, and pandemics. He has also been actively involved in disaster risk reduction and community resilience initiatives, developing disaster management strategies and plans, building and maintaining multi-stakeholder partnerships, collaborating with diverse groups, including community feedback mechanism, promoting gender equality and social equity, and creating inclusive programs. He advises organizations on selecting cost-effective technologies that can help them prepare for emergencies and minimum future risk. We welcome you also, Narendra sir, to the session. Moving on, introducing our last speaker, we have Mr. Shashank B. Patel, sir. He is a geoinformatics expert with master's degree and a remarkable track record of 12 years in remote sensing, GIS, and photogrammetry. His 6 years of hands-on experience in drone operations, strong background in project management, and leadership positions have honed his skills in guiding teams to success. Currently, he serves as a drone partner for leading GIS and software companies. He specializes in crafting precise land use and land cover maps, contributing significantly to urban planning departments. His journey includes roles as an assistant professor at KVGCE and as a project scientist at Regional Remote Sensing Center, South ISRO, Bangalore. He also held an assistant professor position at EPCET, Bangalore, and founded Vimatraya in the vibrant city of Bengaluru. His quest for professional challenges remains unwavering as he seeks innovative opportunities across diverse geographies. Having such a wonderful lineup of experts to hear from is such a privilege. I once again welcome all the speakers to our session. As we all might have heard from the introduction, we the different backgrounds, although they are all working in drones, we can hear from different perspectives. So without any further delay, to start with, I would like to welcome Prishti sir to have an introduction and to set the context for all of us for the further discussion.
Thank you, Hannah, for a beautiful introduction, and I'm really very amazed by the selection of speakers with this wonderful experience and track record and working on the various aspects of drone and allied technology. To be very straight on to the program, I will not make any introductory comment. I'll reserve my observations and comments to the end. I'll only introduce a small video which will set the context of the drone and its relevance to the disaster management. So, Hannah, if you can run the video, small video.
Drone for Humanity, a techno-humanitarian platform. The platform links humanitarian and development actors, knowledge partners, technology partners, strategy partners to roll out tech solutions for complex developmental challenges. D4H envisions to create visible positive impacts in lives of people through techno-humanitarian approach, thereby contributing to the goals and targets of Sustainable Development Goals, Sendai Framework, and the Paris Accord, aligning with the aspiration of Honorable Prime Minister of India to make India a leading country in drone technology D4H dreams of a complete drone ecosystem with drone entrepreneurs at all local levels, where this tech is a household thing, affordable, accessible, and owned by the people. Drone-based solutions are gaining popularity in many sectors, but to the best of our knowledge, D4H is the only platform focusing on humanitarian sector in India. Our pilot study shows that drones are A. Efficient and effective in smart humanitarian response, from early warning, search and rescue, damage and need assessment to delivery of life-saving aid. B. Instrumental to smart, climate-sensitive, risk-informed developmental planning and governance by systemic analysis of geospatial data to understand the existing and emerging risks. C. Cost-effective and easy to use. It saves lives, reduces risks, empowers both the people and the decision makers. A drone flying on a pre-programmed mission captures high-resolution georeference data. The raw data are then analyzed using AI, ML, allied technology and ground validated by the NGO partner. Historic satellite data can further help to analyze the past trends to guide future actions. Technological innovations and solutions in humanitarian action are transformative tools for people in need as well as humanitarian and development actors, provides real-time data, robust evidence, and the resultant transparency for risk-informed decision-making while upholding humanitarian principles. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah, for this, which places in context the today's discussion. And in fact, the illustrious panelists will throw light on various aspects as it was just briefly highlighted in the video. It appeared as a advertisement video for Drone for Humanity, but let me tell you that this video was prepared sometimes back on the request of NASCOM Foundation when the Drone for Humanity concept was considered as one of the frontiers in their search for Tech for Good award. I think last year or year before last year. So this is no advertisement for anything. This is a concept we are talking of. So today's discussion will probably position the concept in much more realistic manner. And to add to that, the Prime Minister's recent announcement that the drones are going to be made available or going to be provided through financial assistance to the women self-help groups in the country. And so the idea of own your drone concept probably is now it is in some way in place, that the drones are going to be the instrument for commoners to handle and use it for various purposes in development as well as in disaster management. With this, let me now request Professor Bose to share with you some of his conceptual and practical understanding of the application of drone. He has been working with the couple of universities in the United Kingdom and brought extraordinary understanding about the application of drones. Over to you, Professor Ghosh.
Thank you, Mr. Prusti, for that nice introduction and also the video that sets the tone for this panel discussion. To the other audience, am I visible? Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay, great. So I think this webinar is about communication technologies that can be used for using drones in disaster scenarios. So this is one of the major applications that drones can bring in when there is a disaster, because most disasters have a very serious impact on the communication infrastructure that exists in that area. For instance, the cell towers get destroyed. Many of the ground-based communication systems get destroyed. and it is difficult for people who are outside of that area of disaster to know what is happening inside. Although there are people who may be using mobile phones, they they may be in a situation where they cannot connect with the cell tower. So one way to take care of that, this has been talked about for quite some time by different people, is to use drones to establish a ad hoc wireless network. But ad hoc wireless network, for example, there is something called MANET, that is mobile ad hoc network, is something that can be set up in a situation where there is no disaster or destruction of infrastructure. In order to set it up in a disaster area, we need to have drones that can reach that area and form this network. So once you do that, then there is a possibility that internet connection or phone connections can be provided to the victims of the natural disaster. However, there are several challenges that come up. So this kind of drone network are known as FANET, or flying ad hoc networks. So when they first came into being, they were thought of as something that will be supported by unmanned aerial vehicles of different kinds. But now people are talking about FANETs that can be sustained using drones. But easier said than done, because there are several challenges that are still not solved. One of the challenges is to set up the network. You need to have the energy that will not only fly the drones and create a communication link up to the disaster area, but also make them hover or move around there for sufficient time and then come back again. Now, if you look at the standard drones that are available, many of them have endurance time that can go from 20 minutes to maybe about 40 minutes. It is rare to have something which is more than that. That will require much larger drones. So with that kind of thing, you can immediately see what the limitations are. So there should be a protocol by which this drone network can be sustained. Maintainability of the drone network is also important there. But once it is done, it actually serves the purpose of providing communication in an area where there's no other means of communication. Apart from the communication part of it, there is another aspect that drones are used for understanding how serious the disaster area, how serious has the impact of the disaster on the area is. So for that, we need to collect images and transmit it back. Now, again, easier said than done, because once we look at the kind of high resolution images that you may require, you will find that the amount of data that is generated even every second is too much for the FANET to actually carry it back. So you cannot really communicate this information over this low bandwidth networks. So what's the solution for that? So the solution that we can think of, and is people are also working on, and there are some solutions available, is called edge computing. So essentially what happens is that you carry enough processing power in the drone itself so that the images that are carried, that are collected, are processed right there. Let me give you an example. Let us imagine that there is a fire in some place, or there is a flood in some place. You would like to know where the most serious flood has occurred, or where the most serious disaster has occurred. So in the traditional way, the image has to be brought back to the ground station for processing. But that may not be possible at all because of the low bandwidth that you have. If you have the processing power right in the drone, then the drone will process the image and identify the location and send back the GPS coordinates back to the ground station, so rescue efforts can be mounted. So this way, the demand on the bandwidth is much less and it can be economized and optimized. But this requires what is known as edge computing, that is computing on the edge. That is, wherever you are collecting the data, you process it there. You cannot do that with the standard drones that you have, because the standard drones have enough processing power only to manage their own requirements. So you need to have specialized drones that can have this higher level of computations possible in them. So once you have them, then you can have this notion of a communication network using drones, plus a data gathering network which can do the computation on the edge and send back useful information to the ground station from where rescue operations can be mounted. So I think these are the two very important things that requires advanced technology. Today we hear of 5G and 6G, but remember that 5G and 6G also requires very good infrastructure support. Unless you have the infrastructure support, you cannot have the high bandwidth. So you need to operate in an area where the infrastructure has been destroyed, and this infrastructure has to be created. There are other challenges also. I will not touch upon them. If there is time later, we will discuss about those. But these are the two things that come to my mind when we talk about how to use drones for communication in a disaster area. I'll stop here. Other people will have other things to say, and I will rejoin the discussion again with other points. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ghosh, for bringing some new thinking that how drones and its allied technology can empower our communication system. Over to you, Hannah. What is the order of
Next, next we have both this sir who will be speaking more about like how the government involvement and regulatory considerations can be brought in place, like in order to establish a better drone.
So, which panelist you would like to address this issue?
Bodhi sir.
Bodhi. Welcome, Mr. Bodhi. Your illustrious background that really had made us hungry.
So we would love to host you sometime in our office. So please make a visit and see
Sure,
what
sure.
exactly we are building in the drone ecosystem.
So,
Hannah, could you please repeat the question again?
Sure, sir. Firstly, about what roles can government bodies play in facilitating the utilization of drones for disaster communication? We heard a lot about the benefits, and what can the government role be on this? And secondly, what are the key regulatory challenges that government agencies might encounter when incorporating drones into disaster communication? And is there any effective strategies that you propose, where we can navigate these challenges?
I think with due respect, so Prushti sir is the right person to comment on this particular question, and he has been actually leading the government department for a quite long time and working for civil society and the government collaboration for a quite long time, and is the pioneer in integrating the drone technology in the public ecosystem. And if Prushti sir is interested to comment on that, so would love to hear. Otherwise, with my limited experience, I'll share my experience of how the government can actually be now part of this drone for humanity ecosystem.
yeah, so I think you can go ahead. I'll come in at the end to add my piece.
Okay, sir, no problem. So myself, Bodhisattva Sangha, founder and CEO IG Drone. So we are India's largest enterprise drone solution company. So we are an end-to-end drone company, right from designing the drones, manufacturing the drones, and using the drones for different use cases. So, as we are discussing about drones application in disaster, so I'd like to mention that we are very fortunate to be part of a Drone for Humanity community in its early days, and all thanks to our mentor Prushti sir, who has actually given us the opportunity to be part of it, and covered almost like 10 plus disasters all across India, starting from disaster in Odisha to severe flood in Kaziranga, flood in Bihar, flood and 3 4 cyclones in West Bengal, and then the flood in Maharashtra. So we have a vast footprint of all across India and working on ground, particularly not just to capture the data, but after processing the data and actually dismantling all this information with the local community. That is what much important. So we all here talking about the technology of the drones, the technology more capability of the drones. What I felt as an entrepreneur into the drone ecosystem and also closely working on all these all these 10 plus disasters on ground. So it's not more about technology, it's actually more into techno-social approach. First, the Prushti sir always talks about it's not the technology, what information you gathered and how you actually, share with the community and empower the community to take it more forward, to make actually more, build a sustainable ecosystem. It's not that once IG drone or some XYG drone company will go once and fly the drone and capture the data and share some kind of DSM DTM map with the community. That will not solve the purpose. The purpose will be only solved when the local entrepreneur, we call it a micro entrepreneur, or maybe anybody from the local community will come forward and with a drone, a simple drone, no need to go for very high end drones, with a simple drone, and the backend data engine will be like very efficient. Maybe professors from Indian Institute of Science, or maybe from some elite institute, and from the industry, they can build a very good robust platform, and that platform coupled up with a very low end drones on the ground and process the data, and the data not in terms of a very high sophisticated technical technological format. It must be in a very social acceptable format, so that the same people, same person on ground, with the help from humanitarian organization, not with the technical organization. Technical organizations cannot actually share those information with the local community and cannot empower them. So it's a joint collaboration between NGOs and the local stakeholders and the technology company, and most importantly, and the district administrations, maybe the district disaster management DDA, maybe the state disaster management authority, maybe NDMA. NDMA, SDMA can roll out certain protocols for use of drones and other geospatial technology, particularly during disaster and post disasters. And all thanks to Prishti sir, who actually coupled these two UN defined protocols along with the drone technology. So during disaster need assessment and the post disaster need assessment, we should have a certain protocol, because the DGCA is sitting there, he is actually rolling out a lot of protocols, lot of rules for flying the drones. We should also align certain protocols. We also should actually do some kind of policy advocacy at NDMA and SDMA level, so that the local entrepreneur get some kind of exemption. Local people can get some kind of exemption to fly their drones, and at least in a disaster affected areas, and they can actually share the data in an open source platform to anybody who want to contribute for sharing and making and extracting some valuable insights. So SDMA and NDMA can help us to formulate a policy for rapid deployment of drones, and the district management authority can actually help us in facilitating the local logistic. But when so as per my personal experience, when there is a disaster happens, so it's very impossible you can actually go directly during the disasters without the support from the local administration and local authority. It's not only about the permission, it's also about the accessibility. Only the NDRF and the state disaster response force has access and the equipments to go there and to serve the local people. It's not usually possible for volunteers like us, companies like drone companies like us, to directly go to the field. The DDA, the district disaster management authority, and maybe other government aligned NGOs who are working on ground, they can actually help us to mobilize the team on ground and rapidly. So that is what I believe the SDMA and NDMA can formulate certain kind of protocols with definitely with policy advocacy from organizations like Drone for Humanity, and then the district development authority, district disaster management authority, and the local NGOs can help us to mobilize to the field. And then the another important aspects comes whenever we actually want to carry out such kind of operations, we always face certain kind of financial challenges. The corporates should actually come forward, and as part of their social responsibility, they should actually contribute back to the society. It is the most important. So we always feel that, so distributing certain kind of relief material is all about serving the disaster. But what the drone for humanity through the drone and other technological platform is trying to do, So it's like it's more and it's beyond the distribution. So your distribution and your helping the distressed people will be more beneficial when you will have a certain kind of accurate data about the damage, and that can only be get and that can only be gathered when there is a mass scale drone surveys, mass scale data collection from the ground. And I would like to also mention that the drone cannot only serve the purpose of gathering the all kind of data. It's only captures the aerial data. There is certain kind of limitation drones can do. But drones coupled up with the your field forces on ground, your social people on ground, and if that data can be combined somehow automatically, not with a manual manner, automatically on a backend portal, and that will truly bring the disruption in the entire disaster response program. And that is what I just want to comment, and I'd love to hear from other panelists and also make other comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Bodhisattva, for this enlightenment. And you have very rightly positioned the role of the government, and your very emphatic statement that the robustness of the data and alignment of the aerial data with the field data. Uh, and I used to say that satellite data, drone data, and your revenue data and your social data from the NGOs or the community organization on the ground. If all these data get integrated or aligned, you will get the most beautiful solution, most appropriate solution on the ground. So thank you, Bodhisattva, for bringing those things and emphasizing those things and reinstating the argument. Yes, you have a point.
Sir, you always mention about social mapping. So we in drones we do aerial mapping. When aerial mapping and social mapping combined together, then that will actually bring disruption in the drone for disaster response.
Thank you, thank you. We'll have I think a lot of questions must be getting noted, and we'll be discussing at the end of the panel speakers' presentations. Hannah, over to you for passing on to the next speaker. Hannah? Hannah, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm extremely sorry. There was a small technical electricity issue here.
Okay.
Yeah, I missed out on the last point too. I was disconnected for a few minutes.
No, you have not lost anything. Yeah. Please go ahead. Introduce
Sure.
the next speaker.
Yes. Thank you so much, Bodhi sir, for clearly explaining how can government to make the health system, the drone easier. So now we would like to hear from Narendra sir on other successful implementations. What are the successful strategies that we can use in the current scenario, or if you want to reflect on some strategies used by other countries or other areas, we would like to hear from you, sir.
Narendra, while speaking, probably you will bring that the during COVID time some trials were made to share epidemic related information to the community through use of drones, and like that, probably that might be relevant in this session.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Pushti, thank you so much for moderating this session. Hannah, thank you so much for inviting me. And I, of course, thanks to Sphere India, and gratitude to all attendees and panelists here. So, yes, I think Professor Ghosh, he has emphasized, what are the different stages where drones should be used. Bodhi has explained that what are the different compliance issues by which the agency should comply in order to fly or in order to hover the drones. So I take the points from Pushti sir that, of course, I was also thinking about the same thing that in 2019, when the COVID-19 happened. So I think in 23rd of March around, when Prime Minister of Narendra Modi has made an announcement that nobody will move out and everything. I mean, everybody should confined in their home, and the movement in terms of people should not go out in order to reduce the infections. So by that time, Drawn for Humanity, Humanitarian Internationals, General Aeronautics Private Limited, and Government of Odisha had found an opportunity to deploy the drones for different purposes. So let me tell you what were those areas where we had deployed the drone and how successfully in terms of creating the impact. So as we know that the COVID was an infectious disease, so everybody wanted to be away from each other, or they don't want to approach anything which might have created the infections. So first thing which we did, that we sprayed the disinfectant, which we call it sodium hypochlorite, using the agriculture drones. So we brought the drones from all the way from Bangalore to Odisha, and then we deployed drones in 3 different cities: Bhubaneswar, Cuttack, and Jajpur. And the most important part is that when this operation was supposed to be done, I think what was the perfect time. So I think we deployed the drones in the night time. That was the right time. And we also did it sometimes in a day to ensure that the footfall, I mean, the people who are coming or accessing the market should not, I mean, the areas or the geography should not be contaminated highly. So we did it for for more than a week time. It was 20 days exercise. Continuously we deployed in morning and evening. We deployed the agriculture drones to disinfect the sodium hypochlorite. At the same time, the authorities were also interested to see where the footfall is happening, actually, where the large number of people are actually coming together, and then they are, I mean, it's like mass gathering. So we have also done the surveillance through the drones. So the drones which are mounted, the optical sensors, and the high imaging camera, they started monitoring all the places which were supposed to, or which were expected, that these are the marketplaces where people may be coming very frequently. So we were hovering the drones over this area very frequently. And the most important part is that I mean, when it comes to the communications with the drones, actually, so that was video live streaming. So that has also happened through that drone technology, that we provided connectivity. We provided connectivity, or we provided the live streaming, video live streaming, to all the designated authorities, so they were able to actually monitor where the footfall is happening. And apart from this, we also mounted one acoustic device with the drones, actually. So that has worked as a public addressing systems, so creating awareness, that was also very important. So whenever I mean, and that had happened along with the police force. So we had very encouraging support from the police force from the Bhubaneswar. They were with us day and night, and then they even in all the cases during the in spraying this in disinfectants, and then making the people aware, and then surveillance part. So we handed over this responsibility to police force, that we will be operating the technologies, the drones, and etc. And at the same time, you having this device with you, where you can see in this device that where the people are actually gathering, so you can make the announcement. And the drones had very good reach in terms of, from one point we were able to fly it up to 5 kilometers, within the 5 kilometers radius. So that was one of the case studies from Odisha, and that was, I think, one of the best examples, I would say. And that all had happened because Pushti sir had put a lot of efforts in that, and that was, I think, the first case studies we could able to implement successfully. I think at the same time, I was also reading that the government of Gujarat has also done the same things, but it was more visible in terms of that we were doing it with the help of government of Odisha. So this is the one case studies, as I was asking. And second studies, that if I go one by one, see, there are n numbers of hazards. So even for the landslide, for the fire forest, I would just give you one example of yes, Divya, thank you. So I would give you one example of fire forest. Managing the fire forest is very difficult. So I was reading some of the applications of drone. I mean, how to prevent the fire forest. So even in today's case, if you go the fire forest damage assessment, which comes in a $1 billion actually, and managing the forest fire is very difficult. So the preventive measurements can be taken while deploying periodically the drone and then satellite imageries together. So you get the temperature data from the IMD, and then at the same time, most of forest fire happens during the summertime. That's I think one of the very conspicuous understanding with everyone, that most of forest fire happens during the summer. So we may get the temperature data from the IMD. At the same time, if we have the optical satellite images of the forest land use and land covers, so that also gives you the idea that, and at the same time, we can also have the NDVI, the normalized differentiation vegetation indices data. That gives you the information about the health of the plants, trees, sapling, etc. So you will get a very panoramic view of the entire forest. At the same time, periodically we can deploy the drones across the forest with the help of forest authorities, and we have this temperature data. And when we receive the drone data, the drone imagery, so at the same time we can also correlate these two different data, putting the temperature data. So that would give you some sort of information that which area, I mean which particular pocket within the forest is actually, or what is the health of the health of that particular biomass. So this kind of parameters, if we put together, we have one best exercise to do that. How this entire technology, the set of technologies and the human expertise together can help in mitigating the fire forest. Same thing I would also emphasize on the climate change part, how these drone technologies can help in identifying some of the areas where we actually need to put our collective efforts. I won't take much time. So it is important to share that the examples of how the technology is evolving, and how the drones can actually help in order to mitigate the problems. So I give you one example from the Sundarban. We were doing one project of building climate resilient communities in Sundarban, where we had deployed the drones, and the purpose of deploying the drones was to monitor the growth of mangrove plantation, because Sundarban is a climate hot spots, and it's a mangrove forest. So we really wanted to understand the cause of the cyclones, which is very dominant in that particular area. So we deployed the drones across the forest areas. We collected the satellite image. We collected the drone imageries. At the same time, we also took we also obtained the last 10 years, 12 years satellite images, and we have superimposed. So the last 10 years images was in the time intervals. I mean, it was in 5 years of time intervals. So first images was from 2010, and then 2015 and 2020. So we have collected the satellite imageries, and the current drone mapping, we have superimposed this different years of satellite imageries, and then we have found the trend analysis of the mangroves, that how the mangroves are actually, where the mangroves are being depleted, and which area the growth of mangrove is good. So based on that, we have classified the mangroves in a different categories: high density of mangrove, moderate density of mangrove, and wherever there was no mangrove in 2020. And we have also, as Bodhi mentioned, that the social elements or the social perspective is also important. So we have also conducted the community level, the FGDs, the focus group discussions. We have explained them these maps and everything, and we have understood the course of cyclones. I mean, from which way in the community the cyclone enters basically. So all it was giving us the information that where there was least mangrove or no mangrove, the community has also indicated that these are the path of cyclones actually over the period of time. So these are the 2-3 examples, but I think given the the time constraints, if time would permit, so we can also debate on that part, and we can also share more on that. So I pause here. Hannah, if there is any other questions which you want me to explain or you want me to reflect on that, I would be very happy to do that.
Thank you so much, Narendra sir. Pushpa sir, do you want to add something to it?
Yeah, I think very interesting examples Narendra gave of that COVID time experience that we had in Odisha as well as in Gujarat, and the forest fire. The challenge of using drones during forest fire is that your atmosphere is likely to get covered with smoke, and how your the kind of sensor kind of equipment or devices that the drone can have that will penetrate the smoky screen atmosphere, and then we get the desired resolution pictures. That will remain a challenge. In fact, we tried to do some testing, piloting exercise during Sibilpal forest fire. The government of Odisha, the additional chief secretary was very keen, but somehow the incident took a little critical turn due to there is a lot of community reactions and all that, so we couldn't go ahead with that innovation. But I think I'll stop here, and Hannah, I think let's listen to Sasank, his interesting experience on landslide mapping through use of drones.
Thank you so much, sir, and also thank you so much, Narendra sir, for explaining about some case studies that we have in India that we did with the drones. Moving on to our last speaker, Mr. Sir, so we would like to hear about your experience and how it can be employed in disaster management, and also share a few insights on the global insights and future possibilities. If there is any untapped possibilities exist for drone utilization in disaster communication when it comes to India.
Thanks, Hannah. Hello, Professor Hannah and Spare India. It's a privilege to be among the panelist speakers, and thanks for providing this opportunity. And the discussion revolves around the scenario of drones applications in communications, both India and abroad. With simple examples, I would like to let you know that the communication normally happens on drone with the standard camera that is available, which sends the live feed to the command center or people on ground, which is very much useful in search and rescue. And added to that, we have technology like IR and thermal, provided the speakers or the spotlight mounted on the drone are very helpful in the search and rescue. Narendra also pointed out of having an acoustics device. So real time, it is being useful considering the situations on the ground. And in most of the countries, whether it's an earthquake or whether it's flood, drone has played an important role. And mostly it is about search and rescue, or it is the geospatial mapping that happens. During the search and rescue, it's very important to identify people on the ground, the survivors, while geospatially, when the mapping is done post the disaster to assess the length or the extent of damage that has happened. The disaster communication can also be added in terms of the disaster response also can be added to disaster communication. In disaster response, we can also put it in terms of pre and post. Pre is very useful because prediction models can be built. For example, landslides. That is what we are seeing in Himachal Pradesh. Landslides happened in Karnataka when there was heavy rainfall. So all the hilly terrains have a lot of challenges in terms of accessing it. So most of the disasters, it's better, its prevention is better. So preventive measures can be taken by understanding the slope or the land use that is there. So putting all of these different layers and the elevation data, the predictive model for landslides can be created. Similarly, soil erosions can be, models for soil erosions can be created. So heavy rains, more runoff, more floods, more scoring happens to the soil, resulting in soil erosion. So very important thing. And the forest fire, it was discussed. So satellite imagery, the forest vegetation data, and the NDVI as mentioned by Naren. So all these layers put on top of each other provides a good insight of where disasters are likely to happen. So these places, preventive measures can be taken. And post, everybody are aware of post or being used. Post disaster, assessing the condition, extent of damage, as I mentioned earlier, whether it's earthquake or any other accidents. Recent accident that happened in Odisha, the Bangalore-Howrah Express. It was only with the drone video we were able to see the extent of damage that has happened in terms of railway bogies or the spread of the derailment that was assessed. And this was the very train that we used to travel to work on the Sundarbans project. So so drones do play an important role. But considering the global scenario, when we talk about use of drones, yeah, there was this in the earthquake that happened in Nepal. Then drones were used to assess the condition, assess the for the search and rescue of the survivors. Similarly, in China, the drones were used for the earthquake, and disasters such as floods, drones were used in search and rescue. Why I'm trying to point out these things are, when we consider search and rescue, whether it's a foreign country or a neighboring country or India for that matter, we have been up there with the other countries, and we are using drones for search and rescue. Similarly, when we talk about mapping, as a nation, we have been doing more in terms of utilization of drones for mapping in resurvey projects, Swamitva projects. So technologically, we are up there and using it. I'm trying to provide a context between global and the Indian context. And surveillance, we are being, we all know that there is an Indian company which won the tender for the defense. So we have been doing very good in surveillance. If there is one point that I would like to point out, that would be in the field of medicine. In countries like Rwanda, drones are being used extensively for dispatching medicines, collection of samples, blood samples, test results are provided. I think we are a bit behind, but it is all in terms of policy matter, and which is to be taken care of, and the capability drones has to be increased. These are few points. And going ahead, in terms of mapping or in terms of search and rescue, the post assessment would be very quick if you are using the swarming of drones technology. As of now, it has been a challenge, or there are a number of people parallelly flying the drones. So if we are able to address or use this technology, the whole aspect of search and rescue or the mapping itself would be more efficient. So these are the few points from my end for this part of discussion.
Thank you so much, Shashank sir. Krushi sir, would you like to add to it?
Yeah, thank you, Shashank, for bringing those dimensions. It is useful, but I think our time is the biggest constraint. In 1 hour time, I think only you can introduce a subject. Knowing things deeper, I think we need specific sessions spread over a couple of hours so that the experiences, the case studies can be explained and the process can be explained better. Now I think let us spend few more time, few more minutes to answer some of the questions. I've tried to answer some of the questions in the chat box. If I am to explain that quickly, there are a couple of things. One is that on the use of drones in drought situation. In fact, I'll say that the drone is the best use case for drought management. In fact, when the crop fails, that's one of the biggest indicator of drought. So crop failure, and this crop failure can be very accurately assessed by using drones. And in fact, the crop cutting experiments, which is a very, very, say, very preliminary way, or I'll say that very rudimentary way it is being done, and that doesn't give very accurate information based on which our droughts are declared by the government system. I was talking to the former Secretary of Rural Development. He was very emphatic in terms of saying that government should start thinking about using drones in the crop cutting experiments. It will help the government to make a accurate decision in terms of declaring drought in a particular area. Number two, it will help the insurance agencies to help giving the compensation. In fact, I find I can see a best use case for drones in insurance claim settlement in agriculture. That's a good example. The second point that question came that where else? I think I have mentioned that taking a cue from the forest fire, I mentioned that wasteland development and watershed development, this would be a fantastic application. In long stretches of wasteland, you can identify and you can do through by use of drones, you can map the area, you map the gradients, and you can plan your watershed development plan, and you can also undertake large scale planting. There is a seed bombing, a concept which is used for drones, that you can program it, and then by using drones you can bomb the seeds, and then it will be in the wasteland, the plantation can take place, and this can happen just before the monsoon season or things like that. So some experiments have been done in some other countries in this. So I'll like to encourage more thinking in terms of wasteland application of drones in wasteland development and watershed development. That's my submission. And the last point I like to say that you should have more drones to be able to speak for its power. So how you can get more drones? Like Prime Minister announced that the women SHGs will be encouraged to own their drones. Then I'll also argue in favor of introducing schemes like own your drone scheme, because drone is not a very high cost devices. So if the government says that okay, it will give X amount of subsidy for a technical person or a person with background or experience in use of drones, or the mapping exercise or communication experience, so they can be provided with this kind of loan, and they can create that inventory of drones. And more drones are available now in India. Like Bodhisattva was mentioning, that many startups are coming to manufacture indigenous drones with very high capabilities, and also they're very fast developing analytics. The many organizations, many startups are working on the drone analytics, and I think that's the area where a lot of opportunity I can see. And there is a need for a huge number of drone pilots. And in Odisha, we did an interesting trial for training ITI students, ITI faculty in drone flying. And fortunately, we got 2 women. They're the first 2 women drone pilots from Odisha. So they were trained, and there are a lot of interest from the ITIs in Odisha to formally start this drone science course. drone technology course and drone pilot training courses. So I strongly feel that we should push the envelope, argue in favor of creating a huge community of drones, community of drone analytics, and community of drone pilots. These will be my some of the quick suggestions. Anything else anybody can ask, I can answer, or my colleagues in the panel can answer.
Thank you so much, Krishna sir. I would like to highlight a question which came up
Dr.
in
Sir,
the...
may I have a question, please?
Yeah. Daniel?
So myself, Anjan Kumar Mitto, I am from subdivision of Boshirat, North 24 Parganas district, West Bengal. I have a question that how much time it will take to assess a flood situation or a cyclone situation in a block of a subdivision? Please tell me.
I think I'll pass this question to Bodhisattva. I think it depends on the drone endurance and how much drone can, a single drone can capture, what area it can capture, and so how many drones to be deployed, how many days it will take. So some ideas Bodhisattva can give.
So yes, if we deploy 5 drones in a block and we can get a very macro level details with the standard operation time of each drone will be somewhere around 30 minutes to 1 hour. We can actually cover the entire block. But in drone for humanity, what we have actually figured out, it's not just the only the drone data. We can actually couple the satellite imagery with the drone. That will actually save a lot of time and a lot of resources on ground, and we can also get a very macro level data. We don't always need the micro level data. The micro level data we can get from the drone where the maximum devastation has been happened, and to get a very large picture of the exact point of area and the point of interest, we can actually get the latest satellite imagery. So it's because of the advancement of the technology, it's not the only government agency which can actually supply the satellite imagery, which usually takes 6 months to 1 year. From there are a lot of other open source service provider which can also provide satellite in just 24 hours or 48 hours ago satellite data. If the satellite data combined with the drone data will process together, we can get a very large picture in very quick short span of time. 5 different teams on ground with coupled up with satellite imagery, that is enough for a district for a block to do any kind of disaster risk assessment.
How many days? You mean?
Typically 3 to 4 days.
Okay. So
Thank you,
I
sir.
think,
Thank you.
good answer. Any other question?
No,
I think Daniel Malakar, you have got some question. You raised it.
Yes, thank you. This is an important topic, and I was really thinking also there will be an angle of medical emergency response, like in terms of mass casualty events, road accidents, especially in the busy urban cities or towns or hill towns where the space is not expandable. The roads are limited in space. So using the drone technology to reach out the life-saving medical emergency assistance to the hub in the hub and spoke model, reach out to the spoke, and nearest spoke can be targeted and reach out to the spot for medical emergency attention. I don't want to take away your time, but I think if this also can be thought about, because every disaster takes to medical emergency attention, especially earthquake, fire, or mass casualty, even in terms of even communal clash or community clash, or some accidents. Railway accidents, we recently had this situation. So reaching out to the medical emergency assistance to the spot, that way we can even think about reducing the loss of lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. I think it depends on the payload capacity of the drones. I'll request Professor Bose, if you are there, you can throw some light on that. What will be the deciding factors for interventions?
Yes, thank you. So when we talk about payload, there are many things that are happening in the country, especially in Bangalore. So there are drone companies in Bangalore which are incubated in India's Institute of Science, which are targeting payloads of 50 kgs and above. So these are used for heavy transportation of loads and are very critical to disaster rescue operations, where large amount of medicines or rescue material can be flown. So these experiments are going on. I think about 50 kg payload for about 15 minutes of flying time has been recorded. They have just completed another um, experiment where 90 kg of payload was lifted but not yet transported. But these are very important advancements that are happening within the country and are very, very useful for rescue operations in disaster areas. A slight digression, if I may be permitted. So, since Narendra and also Mr. Pushti talked about the wildfire detection, I think some of you might be aware that X Prize has announced a 4-year competition about detecting wildfires in an area of about 1,000 square kilometers, which is 30 kilometers by 30 kilometers area, using satellites, that is one part of the project, and using drones, that is another part of the project. So some Indian companies are interested in it and they would like to participate in it. So I think we will be able to see some really good work that will come out of it, which are not just applicable to wildfires, but other kind of disasters also. Finally, I think Mr. Prusti raised a very important question about agriculture. So there is a company in Bangalore again, which is actually looking at agriculture financing using satellite images. So they are actually advising banks about where to put in the money and help farmers to in agriculture financing based on the processed images of satellites. But there, the resolutions are very low. They can benefit from images from drones as well. So I think this is a very lucrative commercial proposition as well. May not be directly related to disasters, but in some way it is also related to disaster in the sense that you can assess the disaster proneness of an area, and that would help the insurance companies and also financial companies. Yeah, I'll stop here. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Ghosh, giving this the additional information. In fact, let me share with you all that World Economic Forum conducted a study on use of drones in agriculture, and that helped the government of India to tweak the drone policy in favor of agriculture. And the same World Economic Forum is also interested to undertake another study on drones in disaster management. So I'm hoping that that will happen in this year or very soon. I was associated with the study on agriculture, and the report received very wide acceptance within the community. And some of the large corporates also ventured into drone, and some of these startup incubated in IIC have also got linked with some of these large investment portfolios to take the application into scale. So that those are some of the good signs. I want to also give you another pointer. I was thinking, and indeed I was talking to some of the administrators in the state of Bihar. Every year Bihar gets flood, and Bihar has got several river basins, and the embankment breaching is one of the primary cause of flood in Bihar. So why the embankment breaches is another issue, but you can say that there are flooding in the upper catchment, and then certain water flow, the water gets released from the dam, and all that. But having all that done, the embankment health is important. So I was trying to sensitize them that if there is a embankment health surveillance can be done prior to the monsoon season, then you'll be able to know that where the embankment is weak. And in fact, my experience tells me that many parts of the embankment, the breaches do take place because of human interference. What happens when the water shortages happens, then to get water from the river, the embankments are deliberately broken by the community and the water is drawn. And then when they repair it, they don't repair it as strong as it was supposed to be. So as a result, those become the weakest point, and when the water, the flooding season comes, and the breaches take place. So the drone surveillance of the embankments can give you a very good information about the weak points in the embankment, so that necessary intervention can be done prior to the monsoon season. It was appreciated by the people in Bihar with trying to do something, but in government decision process and all that, even the minister was very keen. He wanted to see my presentation. He sat through the 1 hour long presentation which I made in Bihar. He stood that and he advised his department to discuss and all that, but discussion still not yielded any result. So that happens in the government because government, everybody wants where it has been done. They are very not very enthusiastic about trying to do something new. For that, you need that kind of aggressive leadership. I think that what presently our Prime Minister is trying to build, that we should be prepared to attempt new things. We might fail, but there are chances of success. So therefore, we must do it. So I urge everybody that we should work on the drone frontiers in much more aggressive manner. We should promote, we should push for more public investment in drones and the ecosystem supporting drone application in various areas of development, governance, and disaster management. Those are my closing remarks, unless there is something else to be responded.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to flag one last question which came in the chat box. And so as we are pursuing for more integration of drones or like mainstreaming of drones in disaster management practices, and also we talked about accessibility, like, making it accessible to the self-help groups at a very ground level. So what are some of the negative impacts or disadvantages that we should foresee, while we pursue mainstreaming it? If all there is any.
Yeah, negative impact will be that in the name of SHG, there will be investors who will be holding drones, and they will be camouflaging the ownership through a SHG so as to corner the benefits that is targeted for SHG. Those things will happen, but remedies are there. One can be very careful in identifying, selecting, and all that. And technology will always help that. This is number one challenge. Number two challenge is that within the SHG there has to be some skill. So skill development, in drone and allied technology is necessary, and that should be available to the SHGs, women SHGs. And at the same thing, I'll suggest that like I say, women SHGs, it should be also available to the humanitarian, local humanitarian organizations. They should have the capability, they should have the support of the public from the public investment to acquire drones and retain capacity so that they can be deployed to help them in the time of crisis. And it can be used in disaster, it can be used in development, like your land mapping, your land assessment, and your agriculture, insurance. So there are a lot of economic opportunities around drones. So if the local level humanitarian organization, social organization can build capacity around drones, it will give them good revenue and give them entry into good quality services also for the community.
Thank you so much, sir, for explaining that. So I think we have gone about like a lot overboard on time. If there is any other pressing, can definitely reach out to us. We'll be using that with the speakers here. I think we can close the session as of now. we'll be reaching out to you with the session recordings, and also somebody had asked for the feedback link. So we'll be sending you a feedback link upon which you will be receiving a certificate for participation in the session. Once again, I would like to extend our deepest vote of thanks to all the speakers who have given their valuable time in their field of work and about the expertise about the drones and how it can be used in disaster communication. And to all, we definitely value all the points that you have said, and we believe that we can come up with a very good report, key action points that we can bring out of this session. Also, I would like to thank all the participants who have taken time in attending the session, and also for your very engaging session. Once again, extending thank you to Drones for Humanity, especially for collaborating with us the session, and also to reach out to speakers and to executing it quite very well. Thank you so much, Krishna, again. Once again, thank you all for joining us. The Academy conducts a lot of webinars regularly, almost every week, on different disaster-related topics. If you would like to learn more about us, please let us know and also attend our session. Thank you so much, everyone. Looking forward to meeting you on the upcoming.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Professor Ghosh. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you, Narendra. Thank you, Sasank, for participating and for joining us in this event. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Ananda.